When the world went into lockdown back in March of 2020, I'm sure we can all remember the chaos that went on in our grocery stores. People spent hours in long lines stocking up on toilet paper and canned food. I mean, I've heard of people trampling over each other for Black Friday deals at Best Buy, but for toilet paper? I mean, seriously? Anyways, while there was a huge surge in demand for groceries, there was something else that also had a huge boom. No, not babies. Animal adoptions have soared over the pandemic, especially with dogs. People rushed to adopt pets, so much so that animal shelters almost emptied, with dozens of applications and waiting lists into the new year. People were desperate to fill whatever void they had in their lives, being stuck working from home, having to give their children something to do, or just trying to feel less lonely in general. As a result, everyone and their dog has gotten a dog over the past year or so. Wait, what? Never mind. While pets do bring tons of joy into our lives, the pet industry is far from being all sunshine and rainbows. With everyone wanting to get a dog in recent years, cases of pet theft have also been increasing. In fact, 2 million dogs are stolen each year by criminals who simply find dogs as a way to make a quick buck by reselling it on the black market. What's more, the pet industry is extremely fragmented, lacking in transparency and lagging behind others technologically. For one, shelters are still not required to report the number of pets they take in, adopt out, or euthanize. A ton of paperwork is involved as well, yet documents are still largely stored as hard copies. Even worse are the issue of puppy mills, these commercial, high-volume breeding facilities that churn out puppies for a profit, ignoring their health and needs. They're taken from their mothers at a young age, packed into crates, and then shipped hundreds of miles to pet stores, often without adequate food, water, or ventilation. Not much monitoring is currently in place. In fact, it's actually pretty easy to get around local laws regarding breeding. There's a growing trend of pets being sold on websites like Craigslist and Kijiji, and since anyone can post an ad and sell something online, shady breeders can operate in plain sight without any consequences. An industry like this that lacks robust systems effectively opens the door to criminal activity. In order to fix this problem, there has to be a fundamental change to the operations of this entire industry. Records of activity have to be taken at every point in the system, from when the pups are born to when they're vaccinated, transported, sold, and then sold again, all the while ensuring that everything is protected from fraud. One way we might be able to solve this issue is through blockchain technology. Blockchain is an immutable digital ledger that allows data to be stored and shared globally across thousands of computers in the network. By immutable, we mean that the data stored on the blockchain cannot be changed or altered. Once information is added, it's time-stamped and stays there forever. If someone were to try and change something, it would invalidate all of the data added afterwards, and everyone in the network would immediately take notice. The only way to make edits would be to add the new piece of information on top of the old piece of data, keeping a complete history of all of the data. When used in the pet industry, this allows blockchain to be a permanent, traceable, and undisputable record of pet ownership, because someone can't just go in and change the pets to be under their own name. Blockchain is also decentralized, meaning that rather than there being one central authority governing the entire network, each computer in the network has its own copy of all of the data, and they work together to maintain the security of the network. This means that there is no single point of failure, making it much more difficult to accidentally lose information or have it be tampered with. Blockchains are also transparent, meaning anyone with a computer can view the full record of all transactions. With all eyes watching, this means that it's impossible to hide any sort of shady activity. By bringing blockchain in, we can patch a lot of the holes in the pipeline by being able to prove ownership of a pet with each transaction acting as a certificate, verify a dog's original source, whether it's from a puppy mill or a professional breeder, store information regarding previous owners, and also provide an efficient digital management system for adoption centers. I built a decentralized application on Ethereum that allows for adopting pets and transferring ownership, securing the transaction, and allowing for the pet industry to be more transparent. The back end of it is controlled by a smart contract, which is a self-executing computer program that runs on the blockchain, following the terms of the agreement that are coded into it. The smart contract essentially associates an Ethereum address with a pet to be adopted. To perform certain actions, we'll have to pay gas, which are fees in Ethereum. This includes migrating and deploying contracts, adopting pets, and transferring ownership of them. No fees are required for reviewing the pets, though. The front end was created with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and allows us to interact with the smart contract by instantiating Web3, which can fetch a contract artifact file containing the contract address and an ABI. Let's go over some of our smart contract code. To begin, we'll have to specify the compiler version and create the contract. Next, we'll define a variable to hold an array of Ethereum addresses that will be associated with each pet. We then create our first function, which allows users to make adoption requests. We check the specified ID to make sure that it falls within the correct range, and then assign that respective slot with the address that called the function, or in our case, the individual that's trying to make an adoption request. Lastly, the function returns the pet ID as confirmation, almost like a receipt. Our second function will simply return the entire pet adopters array in order to have our user interface easily update all pet adoption statuses at once.
Now, onto a quick demo. Since Solidity is a compiled language, we first have to compile our code into bytecode for the EVM to understand and execute. Artifact files will also be automatically built during compilation, containing the contract address and ABI. Then, making sure our blockchain on Ganache is up and running, we migrate our contract to the blockchain. Note that the migration uses gas, which you can see on the blockchain as the block number has changed and the first account has less Ether. Now, we're ready to use our dApp. We'll set up MetaMask by importing a wallet, or in our case, our blockchain on Ganache, with our secret recovery phrase. We then create a custom RPC, which I've already done here called Animal Adoption Center, making sure the chain ID is 1337, the default chain ID for Ganache, and the network address is the same as what we see on Ganache. We can now start a local web server from our terminal and use the dApp. We also connect all of our accounts with MetaMask when the pop-up comes up. Since this is just a proof of concept, to adopt one of these dogs, we just click on the button that says Adopt, and it will open up a pop-up to confirm a transaction. After that passes through, the button should change to Success and disable the ability to press on it again. We can verify that this doesn't change by switching to a different account and reloading the page. And as you can see, I'm not able to adopt a pet that someone else already owns, but I can adopt a different one.
By implementing blockchain in pet adoption, we'll enable tighter restrictions and more effective monitoring in an opaque industry that has fallen behind in technology. While it certainly won't be an easy task, it offers a promising possibility for the future, given the collective dedication of the government and shelters. Our pets look to us to protect them, and with pet ownership becoming more ubiquitous, it becomes a worthwhile investment to leverage the tools we have available to create better treatment and care for all pets.